What is the mission of the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Financial Student Aid? How is FSA using innovation to change the way it meets its mission? I'll explore these questions and so much more with our very special guest, Stacie Whisonant, Innovation and Strategy Team Leader at FSA. What about your role during your time at FSA? Could you tell us a little bit more about that role, and how did your work help FSA meet its missions?
Absolutely. I was tapped on the shoulder late 2018 to come work on this initiative called the Next Gen, which is the next generation of students, parents, and borrowers, and how do we reimagine paying for college in the future. And with that strategy comes, how do we modernize both our technology infrastructure, both from front door to back door, as well as make our experience more user-friendly for our students, parents, and borrowers to deliver this information and the opportunity in a seamless manner, as well as to rethink who can we better serve and better help to ultimately be able to reduce down the portfolio. Our goal is to get loans out the door, but our mission is also to have a successful repayment and make sure that we are delivering aid to the customers that not only need it the most, but will also be able to repay, because it is ultimately at the end of the day, taxpayer dollars that's being used to originate the loans out of this portfolio. So I was brought on board to rethink and reimagine the future experience, primarily focusing on the mobile app being the vehicle to deliver and stay in contact with our audience. And then after I landed there at the Idea Lab, we had a bright idea to create an innovation center and lane, not only for external ideas, but we had a lot of employees who have had great ideas for years. They just needed a platform and a vehicle to shepherd those ideas up to leadership, be able to pilot, visualize, create the story of the idea, really just make it more marketable and sell it to leadership to potentially, be approved for a pilot or some sort of feasibility study to explore their idea. And so after I landed at Federal Student Aid Organization, my first task was to stand up this innovation center and create a robust process that would shepherd these ideas up to leadership directly, so all the ideas could be heard.
So I was wondering, you were an entrepreneur and you came into government. So what are some of the key challenges, management or otherwise, that you've faced in your role at FSA? And maybe you could give us an insight into how you sort of dealt with those challenges or addressed them.
Right. Wow. I will say, going from a very fast-paced startup, small team, you can get it done, environment, and transitioning into big government, it takes years to move this Titanic ship around sort of level of intensity. It was very challenging because for me, a lot of times I'm in my day going, but why not? Like I still at some point am so confused on why we can't do certain things. The fact that we had transition in leadership is probably been my biggest learning experience, because, just me personally talking from both administrations coming in, both sides having had an opportunity to really do deep dives into some of the products and projects that exist. Things get shut down. To me, tax dollars are getting wasted because of just something you've been working on for 3 years just get shut down without a proper assessment. And maybe remolding it could be a better solution versus just totally shutting it down, because, again, I'm just seeing millions of dollars just go wasted just due to leadership and administration change. So that was something that was an eye-opener for me, because I've always heard that happens in government, but seeing it firsthand was a challenge. But what I have been able to do successfully is build relationships around the organization and find the right people that can help to move the needle forward on good ideas, and bringing them into like a working group and working with us to develop those ideas. Being able to have the right allies throughout the organization, to me, seems to be the biggest key to success to move an idea forward, is developing the right relationships and allies to help really almost lobby the ideas through the organization, to be honest.
During your recent stint at FSA, and setting up sort of the ideas lab in that environment, What were your key strategic priorities? What were your priorities? And what did you want to accomplish? What were you focusing on?
So, what was near and dear to my heart was the fact that the branding of federal student aid, and I still believe this, and I'm hoping that even after, my time at FSA, that the the current administration really understands that the mobile experience is a way that we stay in contact with our borrowers. It's really disheartening to know that all this money is deployed every year to so many families, but a lot of people don't even realize federal student aid. You hear, oh, Sally Mae, like, or every time someone's mad about their student loans, they're fussing about Sally Mae. In reality, no one really understands the brand of federal student aid. And I believe that from a fintech perspective, federal student aid has the ability to be one of the largest fintech companies out there because they're not just one bank. They're an aggregated bank across the nation that both students, parents, and borrowers have to sort of engage with. And the fact that the brand is not very strong enough where we should be the single source of truth, so that if you're getting spam calls or scam calls around, we're going to eliminate your student loans. Why don't the community know to come to federal student aid to double check before they possibly get scammed? And again, it's because the branding is we got cut. We're such in this government bubble of marketing and branding that establishing us as a single source of truth is seemed to be, my biggest priority still. And I'll tell anybody, federal student aid, go there. If it's not coming from, if the information is not coming from there, it's probably not so.
I was wondering, you talked earlier, Stacie, about the Idea Lab at FSA. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about what it does or what its intended purpose is, and how is it positioned to do the sort of innovate, design, execute, and award from within the agency while having lasting impact on higher education funding?
So I imagine that the way I think about the Idea Lab is trying to create a very safe place for ideas to incubate and to be tested out, to see if there's any validity to the idea, to see how maybe focus groups respond to potentially craft solutions that could help both internal and external processes. And so we originally we were going to use the Idea Lab as a place to just test mobile ideas, things that could be used in the mobile app experience. But then leadership the last leadership who cares about people said, I want a place for people to come and also feel valued as employees. And maybe some of the ideas are not going to always help the public, but it's helping the public internally, even if we can automate some of our processes internally. And so I want our employees to be able to come to you without worrying about, is my manager going to be upset, or will I be blackballed for bringing this to light, or considered whistleblowing, or whatever the case may be. And so this is a safe place where they can come and submit those ideas and we can work on it. And some of them are high tech, some of them are no tech, and some of them just need the visibility of leadership. And we present on a monthly cadence to leadership 2 or 3 good ideas and get guidance from leadership on how to proceed, whether that's putting it on a parking lot saying, no, not now, or it's, I want to find out more about that. Let's do a feasibility study, or let's do a small pilot. And so that typically helps the employees also feel great about being recognized and also being heard. And they get really excited because they think, wow, this process that was tedious or hard or didn't make any sense actually may get changed. So it also makes them hopeful that there is change or innovation on the way, or at least it's now visible to leadership. Whether it happens or not, it does give a glimmer of hope.
And a glimmer of hope. That's a good way to lead into my next question about your, how does your philosophy for equal educational access align with the department's strategic focus?
So basically it aligns with the strategic focus ultimately to help drive better outcomes of the portfolio, being able to get more information out to people to make better decisions, as well as the transparency of knowing what you owe is a key piece, because us as a performance-based organization, how we perform and how the portfolio performs is one of the key metrics that's being looked at on how well we're doing as an organization. So being able to get good information out so that families can make great decisions then helps us as an organization show that we are executing as a performance-based organization.
What would you suggest, Stacie, agencies looking to establish their own innovation studios, labs, centers, how would they get started? What should they do to get started?
I think they definitely should take a step back to see, going back to my Tech Tuesday piece, the piece where I said we use to educate and innovate, was our Tech Tuesday piece. I found that, one, it was a hit. It was just something different to see these cool startups doing almost a Shark Tank pitch night type of real quick, fast paced. We don't need a long briefing, long hour meeting. We just need 3 minutes to tell us what you do and let us jump in and ask questions. I think that it would be a great assessment to get a temperature check for what's out in the market in their space and what's being innovated. And then determine a way to expose that to the organization in a way where, again, I went through OGC, I went through levels of legal and acquisitions to say, look, no one's coming to buy anything. And the question was, well, why would this startup come and tell you their secret sauce? They're not going to give me an algorithm. They're just going to tell us the outputs of what they do. They're not coming to sell their secret sauce. I just need you to understand, to be exposed to what they are doing, to see if one, there's a reason why they exist. It's probably because we created an opportunity for them because of something we're not doing. And so I think that it's a good place to start is doing a very good deep dive assessment of, if you're in health, do a health tech incubator assessment and see what are the incubators doing in health tech. If you're in housing, doing a housing tech assessment and seeing what's out there, education, ed tech, whatever space. There's an innovation space for every sector of government.
I was wondering, what are the 3 key things you would like our listeners to take away about your efforts with FSA to innovate and experiment?
I definitely would love to make sure that the students, parents, and borrower experience is made such a priority that the organization is willing to go out of scope or push the envelope a little bit further to bring in the right resources and tools that can help our customers make better decisions before their journey, before they even become a customer of ours, and even throughout their journey. And then on the backside, when they're paying us, if we can be able to provide better resources to the public, I'm hoping that we can be more open to being a bridge and a place that will at least provide that to the public and be able to ensure that the public's getting the right. Because even my own sister called one time because she was about to get scammed with a student loan scammer, because for as fast as we can shut them down, they pop back up so fast. I just wish it was a place where she could come and just double check before she talks to anybody about her student loans, which should be federal student aid. So establishing that brand and having better resources for our customers, that's the main things that's important to me. And my goal is that it gets delivered through the best mobile experience that can be created. So those are my 3 things.
This has been the Business of Government Hour, a conversation with Stacie Whisonant, the Innovation and Strategy Team Leader at Federal Student Aid within the U.S. Department of Education. Subscribe, download, and listen to the entire interview at Podcast One, iTunes, or on your favorite podcast app. And as always, at businessofgovernment.org.